Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today's video is all about a couple of the big Tarte holiday sets for 2015. The two that I'll be talking about are Light of the Party, and this is $59 at Sephora, this set. And then the other one is called Greatest Glitz, and it's $49. Whoa, going crazy with the camera there. 49 bucks at Ulta for that one. Over the years, you know, I've been doing lots of these holiday reviews, trying a lot of what different brands put out, and you kind of get a feel for each brand's holiday vibe, you know. And for Tarte, they go for cute packaging for sure, but they also will always put out a very neutral, very like universally wearable color palette. And there are some other smaller kits that Tarte is offering as well, but I just chose to purchase and test out the ones that just personally intrigued me the most. I personally have a distinct preference, one palette over the other. I do think one palette just seems to have a little bit better quality overall, and just, you know, the way it's set up, the way it's all thought out, I think is even more practical. So the one that I'm talking about, the one that I really like best, is the Greatest Glitz. This is actually the less expensive of the two. It's the $49 palette available at Ulta. And the way this works, you've got this sequined top here on top of the palette, which really coordinates nicely with my nails I did. I did Jamberry last night. These are the Rose Gold Sparkle. So it went pretty well, but I've got real short nails, so it was a little tricky with the filing and stuff, but I think it turned out all right. Anyway, a brand puts out yet another, you know, packaging setup that looks gorgeous in my makeup room, so thank you. And then this opens up with a really big mirror on the inside, and you've got this ribbon here that's kind of keeping it held at just a certain angle, and this actually is really nice if you were to sit this box on a table or, you know, any area that you were standing at that would be kind of eye level. This is a great sized mirror to just have right in front of you and be able to see your entire face. Also, there's a little drawer in the bottom, and now keep in mind, once your palettes are out of here and once this little plastic insert's out of here, you could put whatever you wanted in this box. But what they give you is a Lip Surgence in the shade Flashy. It's a Lip Surgence lip cream, so it's very opaque on the lips, and that's just a pretty classic pink color. And also a mini Lights Camera Lashes mascara. Now, I first really got attached to Lights Camera Lashes mascara through a little sample like that, so I think it's nice that they put that in there. But each of these mini palettes are very small, lightweight, no mirror on the inside of those, but you are getting 8 eyeshadows and a blush in each one. And each one has, you know, their own separate kind of color scheme. The gold, I'm seeing a lot of brown, kind of warm browns. That is the one that I'm wearing today, actually. I've got, let's see, some Vixen on the lids. I've got Dipped in Chocolate in the crease, a little bit of the violet shade just blended lightly into the crease as well. Toasted Marshmallow is my highlight, and a little bit of Spiked Cider on the lower lash line. And as you can tell, all of the shade names are very, very holiday themed. I couldn't help but compare these mini palettes to the ones in the Too Faced set that had the 3 separate palettes that came out of it. And I feel like every one of them in this Tarte kit is a better balance overall. Better balance of light to dark, better balance of matte and shimmer. Also, where I thought the blushes were lacking in the Too Faced ones, I love all of the blushes in these. They're really, really good. I love that they didn't just throw in just some random blush just to take up space, you know, it's really good stuff. The texture of Tarte shadows, I think you'll notice, like when you put your brush into the matte shades particularly, I noticed this the same way with Lorac shadows. They kick up a little bit of powder, particularly with the more intense shades. I think you're gonna wanna tap off the excess there. That's just a habit I get into in general with all of my products, but nothing is overly sparkly. They didn't throw in a bunch of really glittery shades. I would say the most sparkly shade in this little set is Vixen, but it still packs on well, you know, and it's not sparkle as in large flecks of glitter. It's just got a little more pronounced, you know, shimmer going on there, as opposed to just the straight up metallic shades. And the blush in here, Warm Hearted, a really nice, bold, rich pink. I just loved it. I was really surprised that that one had as much color payoff as it did. Next palette in here is Rose in color, and all of the shades in here do definitely take on kind of a rose gold theme. Love it. This might be my favorite palette of the bunch. I'm just really attracted to these kinds of colors. You've got a matte light shade. You've got a couple of really great deep matte colors down here. Rose Such a Clatter. I love that color. Kind of a purpley, like deep mauve. And then Evening Affair, your darkest shade, is actually a really, really dark plum. So this has been fun to play with. The blush in here, I think you're going to love this one as well. Really classic rose. rose. Definitely a looks good on everyone type shade. So I love that little mini palette. And then the third one is silver, and that's got all of your cool tone type colors. So for a cool smoky eye, you're getting your light shades as you would want, but also very, very dark shades. The one thing I didn't really understand is they gave you two shades that are like, I can hardly tell the difference between them. One might look a little more black in the palette than the other, but ultimately they come off the same, Smoke and Mirrors and Black Tie Beauty. There are a couple of kind of unique shades in here right in this row, Mint Sprig and Bedazzled Spruce. Those shades just have a hint of green, and it's kind of interesting. I don't have a lot of colors that are quite that subtle with the green influence going on, but I really like that that's in here. People who love cool taupes are really going to enjoy this, but I am so thrilled with the blush here. This was the blush that I thought, okay, here's the blush that I'm not gonna like, but it's kind of coppery and I love it. And I chose to wear that one today and I think it's so beautiful. I tried to achieve like, you know, the Chrissy Teigen really full pretty cheek look today, and I love that blush. So as you can tell, I'm rather enthusiastic about this kit. I think these travel well. I think I could just grab one, and I love the fact that just taking one of these, I would have everything I needed. I would have, you know, the darkest shadows, the lightest shadows, a blush, you know, it would be very complete. But yet if I chose to take all three of them, it wouldn't be any big, you know, space issue because they're all so small. It would be nothing to just be like, okay, I want all those options. I'm just going to take those out and pop them in my bag. It seems to be a tricky thing for brands to be able to really nail this whole lift out concept and make each piece, you know, stand alone really well, but make it also travel well and everything in there, you know, is it good quality? I think Tarte really did a good job with this one. And I mentioned, you know, being able to gift this to someone, whether they really understand a lot about makeup or not. And the reason why I say that is because these individual palettes, you know, there are some massive palettes, and the other one I'm going to talk about has a big, big open palette to it. Something about having just a little smaller selection, it's a little less intimidating. You're like, okay, these are the shades that work well together. I would feel comfortable gifting this to someone. I would feel like I was gifting them something of good quality, but also something that I legit thought they could use. Now this other one also sequined, but it is zip around and it has more of a pattern going on the outside. Now you unzip it and you have 24 eyeshadows in the bottom, a mini Lights Camera Lashes mascara, a little double-ended brush, which I'm not wild about. It's kind of oddly flat at the top of that blending brush, and then you've got a little bit smaller brush. Not saying it's unusable, it's just, you know, a little bit awkward for me. Let me just sit this on my shoulder while I talk here. There's the mirror, but this is what lifted out, and this is the little mini palette, travel palette. Got a couple of the Amazonian clay products. This is like a bronzer, it's called Social Butterfly, blush in Amazed, and a highlight in Pink Champagne. And your shadow selection for this travel palette, very, very classic Tarte. You've got your browns, plums. Done. I don't mind these kinds of shades. I mean, they are easy, you know, kind of no-brainer type looks for sure. Not super wowed by this palette for a couple of reasons. I didn't think the bronzer was very pigmented at all. I was having trouble getting it to show up on my skin. I didn't like the blush as well as any of the blushes in the other palette. You do have this Pink Champagne highlight, which is kind of nice, and I have that in another palette. I think they put that in their little Park Avenue Princess palette. So needless to say, this isn't going to be the first thing I want to grab for when I'm like, oh, I'm traveling somewhere. I just need a little palette. Like, another thing that I should have pointed out early on, I do believe this is the first year that Tarte has actually printed the shade names on the palettes instead of just giving you that dang clear sheet that has to lift over the top. So I love that. Thanks, Tarte. I mentioned, you know, having the individualized palettes I think gives you a little more direction when you're trying to choose shadows, and it's a little less overwhelming. But I do think there's a clear color scheme going on here if you just look vertically. You know, taupes, plums, berry, like golden black, brown, and then like a really cool brownish row over here. Looking horizontally, your top three rows, you're gonna have, you know, matte, shimmer, all mixed in there, some metallic shades, some shades that have a bit more sparkle, but your entire bottom row is 100% matte. I have achieved some looks that I've liked out of this palette for sure, but there are some shades in here that I was kind of disappointed with that I was really wanting to be extra good, and I'm talking about like these four right in here, these midtones. Peach on Earth. A lot of people people are going to be looking to that shade to be that kind of soft, warm brown type color they're going to put in their crease, and I didn't think that one showed up nearly enough. And kind of the same deal with Rum Plum Plum and Tartini. These two are mattes right here, and they're kind of on the pinky side, and I just didn't think they were showing up enough. And then Baby It's Gold Outside. I love a good gold, and this one, you know, it's a little bit flaky. It's going to give you some gold feeling, but it's very soft, and it's not going to be that all out like metallic true gold. A few other light shades like In a Flurry and It's Snow Time I thought were kind of lacking. The palette was honestly just a little too hit and miss for me among the light to medium tone shades. I thought a lot of these darker shades were really rich and applied very, you know, evenly and with a lot of good intensity, but I don't really feel like the quality is as good among the other shades, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, I do feel like things were pretty consistent with the little palettes in here. So if you're wanting something small to take with you, here it's like the decision has been made for you. It's going to be, you know, these 6 eyeshadows, and we got these blushes in here. Here it's like, okay, I could easily take all 3 of those itty bitty guys and not take up much room. Or if I'm only taking one, I've got 3 totally different color scheme options. In here, if you really want to be taking options with you, you're going to have to take this whole fairly bulky palette. So out of these two, again, Greatest Glitz definitely getting the thumbs up for me. It's the kind of thing that I personally think I'm going to continue to get use out of. It's also the kind of thing that I think would make a really nice gift for someone, particularly, like I said, the neutral lovers. If you or the person you're gifting to wants to be a lot more adventurous with their eyeshadows, or you already feel like you've got a ton of neutrals as is, this may not be worth it, but it is one of those lift out, separated up type palettes that I think was executed well, especially in comparison to the one I talked about a little bit earlier this week from Too Faced. This one, while I've still gotten some decent looks with it, I think it's more hit and miss quality wise. Don't like the packaging setup as much, so wouldn't recommend it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for this review. I've still got lots more holiday stuff to come. I'm looking at my box over here. I've got some Kat Von D, some Bare Minerals, some Clinique, some Sephora favorites, so I'll keep on cranking out the reviews. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.